So on the right-hand side, you can see my right-hand side of my Cornell notes, and then on the left-hand side, I have the video. So I'm going to go back and forth. Okay, so the first thing, make sure you have your title, but I think you all set there. Okay, let's start the video. This was a little bit too far
Hello
ahead.
everyone, Miss Millender here, and today we're going to talk about observations and inferences. Now, when most people think of observations, they think of things that you see. However, observations could be made using all of your senses. And you know the primary senses of sight, smell, taste, hearing, and touch. There are plenty other senses in your body, but those are the 5 primary ones.
Okay, let's stop here. And I'm going to add, like, I was a little bit too fast with the observation, but you saw that definition, right? I hope you put that down. So you should also put down the 5 primary senses that she mentioned: sight, smell, taste, hearing, and touch. Okay, and the next part is going to be the extension of your senses, so you can write that already there. Okay, so let's go to the video again.
You can also make observations with extensions of your senses. So in this particular image, you have a man with a walking stick. He can use that as his third point of contact, but he can also check how deep a hole is, or how deep water is, or check to see if there's anything under a shrub or something. Defend himself from snakes. In this picture, we see a dog.
Okay, let's stop over here.
Who's trained.
Sorry, it doesn't always wait for me. So walking stick, so that is an extension of senses, the sense of touch. Okay, so that would be a good example. And oops, I was a little fast there. So she's talking about the dog.
To find people in the event of an avalanche. So that would be an extension of our sense of smell. And dogs are trained to smell a variety of things like drugs and weapons and accelerants at fire scenes. Next image, you can see another extension of your senses in terms of hearing aids. And there are other hearing things.
Okay, let's stop that over there. So, and you might wonder why I wrote the breathalyzer there. That's a later example. So if you took notes directly from this video right now, you would just have dog and then smell, right? The breathalyzer comes a little later, and then you can add it there. Just an example of, like, to leave a little bit space. Okay, so she had the hearing aid for hearing. Okay, let's go on.
Microscope, you can see items that are, or objects that are way too small to see with the naked eye. And with telescopes, you can see things that are really, really far away. A breathalyzer I consider being an extension of the sense of smell, because it measures how much alcohol is in your bloodstream, or how much alcohol comes out in your breath.
Okay, so let's add.
So here's an image that I thought.
Sorry, let's add the microscope and telescope. Okay, for sight. So let's go on.
It was really cute. And so we have 3 little ducklings in there climbing looks like a curb to a sidewalk or something. When you make observations, they can be qualitative observations, which is describing a quality or property. So what I mean are, the ducks are yellow, or the ducks are cute or soft, all.
Okay, let's stop over here. So
those are qualities.
What I did next is, like, I just added, so they can be observations, can be, right? Qualitative, and I added the definition. So describing quality or property. She also said, like, they cannot be measured. So I added that too, even though she didn't write it down on the slide, because I think it's important. So then she had an example. I think examples are very helpful, specifically when you, like, come back after a little bit time has passed. You kind of, maybe you remember better when you look at the examples, because you might remember the examples you had. Okay, let's go on.
Just things that you do not measure. Whereas quantitative observations are things you measure. there is a number with a unit. So quantity has the N, so I say, okay, quantity is a number. And units are critically important, and you'll be reminded of that over and over and over as the year goes on. So here we have things like 3 ducklings, the ducklings being the unit. Let's say it's 71.6 degrees Fahrenheit, that's the temperature, and the curve is 6.3 inches. So all of those are quantitative observations.
Okay, so let's add, hopefully this works, yes. So I'm going to do the same as for the qualitative. I'm adding the definition. I would also maybe circle the N for the number. It seemed to help students to remember the difference between quantitative and qualitative. So just circle the N in number. Then the other thing that she didn't put on the slide is like measure it always as a unit. So I find that very helpful. I would add that in my notes. Okay, and then I just added the example. So let's just do the last little bit.
Yes, it's a number and a unit.
Okay, excellent. So this is what you should have. You don't need to have it like word for word, just all the points, I guess I'm saying. Okay, so the next part is going to be on inferences, and what we will do is you will like watch the video, stop, and however fast you go, you will continue taking notes, and then after you're done, you can look at the notes that I took. Okay, so it's going to be, let's go to the next video. Okay, so it's your turn now. Okay, so I'm going to start the video and continue please continue taking notes. Here we go.
So now we're going to talk about inferences, which are educated guesses supported by observations. You have to have observations backing up any of these inferences or guesses that you make. So we have a scene there with people at a picnic, and we could make the inference that it's a hot day. So let's look at and find some supporting observations that would say that I could use as evidence to say that it's a hot day. So people are wearing tank tops and shorts. Now, some people wear tank tops and shorts when it's cold, but it's a fairly good representation of something people wear when it's hot. Most of them are sitting in the shade, and you wouldn't sit in the shade when it's cold. So those are good supporting observations that imply that it is a hot day. However, there are many observations that you can make that are valid, but don't support the observation of it's a hot day. So there are 6 people. Fine observation, but it doesn't tell you anything about whether or not it's a hot day. And there's a picture with a red lid. So good observations don't support the idea that it's a hot day. Let's make some observations here. Now, observations are things that really cannot be argued against. They're the facts. So we could say that there are insects sitting on rectangular prisms of rice, and some are separated from the rice by pieces of leaves. Those are valid observations. Saying something like, that is so gross, that's going to taste terrible. All of those things are inferences that you make based on your cultural experiences. So be sure your observations are facts. They are not opinions. So now here's something that I would like you to do. There are 3 images here, and I want you to choose one of them. What you're going to do is make an inference. Then you're going to list 3 observations that support your inference and 3 observations that are valid but don't support your inference. Right? So that's that, and thanks so much for watching.
Okay, so I'm going to put my notes up, so please go and compare what you got. So I sorted them. Okay, so I didn't put the practice problem because whatever you choose, that's going to be the one where you take notes on, right? I also seem to have forgotten, if you saw that, like the cultural inferences. So if you added that, excellent job. Okay, so we're done with the notes side. You can always stop the video if you think I'm going too fast. So next part would be the cues. Cues are on the left-hand side. So I'm showing you again like the page in your composition notebook. So you should be done with the right-hand side, the notes, right? Now we're going to the cues. So what you basically do, you try to find headers for all your parts, right? So observation is like data gathers with your five senses, whatever. So that's a definition. So I would put observation definition. So when you go back and you study, you will go to the left-hand side and you will see, oh, there's the definition for observation. So then you can go to the left-hand side and look it up, right? So the next part, how do you make observations? So on the right-hand side, so basically it's the 5 primary senses and the extension of the senses. So I would add those two. Again, kind of in bullet point form, right? So the next question I thought was a key question was like, what are the two different kinds of observations? So then you would put like the qualitative and quantitative. Again, you can go back and look at the right-hand side if you need more detail, okay? So then we get to the inferences. Again, there's a definition, and the key question I thought was like, what is the difference between supportive and non-supportive observation? So if you're not sure, like if you're studying for the test, that would be something you go back to the right-hand side, right? So, and then you would put on the left-hand side the practice problem, whatever practice problem you have, right? And then more details are on the right-hand side. Okay, so these are all the notes on observation inferences. I hope this video was helpful. Please, if you have more questions, please ask them in class. Thank you.